It's 3 after, and we slowed down on people popping in here. So I think it's safe to get started. Hi, I am Melissa Myers. I go by Mel. I am an advisor here at InfiniTALKS, and we are so excited that you're all here today. Thank you so much for joining us. We know that life is busy and you can be doing a lot of things, and several of you have decided to join us to talk about Social Security. So let's dig in and get started. Um, One of the things at the end, I am going to open it up for question and answer. This has been sent out to several individuals. You all might have different advisors that you're working with. So at the end, I'm going to take questions for very broad questions that you might have. If you have a question that is personalized to you, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and grab a pen and paper or, pull up the Notes app in your phone. And I just recommend that you write down your questions that you have that are specific to you. That way you can email your advisor, or the next time you have your review, if you're already planning to talk about Social Security, you have your questions written down and you can reference them with your personalized advisor. Again, at the end, I'm happy to answer any questions. I just ask that they are broad for the whole group. Um, so let's get started. Let's talk some Social Security. Oop, hold on. Get my cursor on the right screen here. Okay, so when we're talking about optimizing or maximizing your Social Security benefit, there are some very specific questions that I get asked all the time. And that is, when should I file for my Social Security benefit? We're going to cover that today, or help you at least get started. Yes.
Sorry, it's Kimberly. Real quick, it looks like we can't see the whole screen. It's cut off on the left side. I don't know if there's a way to zoom out so we can see everything on the screen. For some reason, it wasn't like that on the first slide.
Display settings. Let's see if we can do that. Nope, still cut off. Let me try to fix it. That was weird. It didn't do that earlier.
I know.
Sorry, everyone. Give us a second. We will try to fix. Nope, it still wants to cut it off. I wonder if it's just that page. It looks like it's just that slide.
Okay. Cool. No worries.
But let me know if that's not the case.
Okay. Sorry,
Okay.
everyone. Proceed.
Okay, so for questions that we get asked the most when it comes to Social Security is, when should I file for benefits? How do I maximize my benefit? That's a big one, right? That's why the majority of you are on here today. You want to maximize your Social Security benefit. And how much will my spouse get? Is Social Security income taxable? And that's a big one. So we're going to cover all of these questions today. So when we think about Social Security, it really comes down to the timing of Social Security, your work history, understanding taxes, how much you're actually going to receive of your benefit, and then things to be aware of when you're making decisions. And so we're going to start with timing. So in order to qualify for Social Security, you have to have worked or received at least 40 credits, right? And so your work history, and they're broken down into quarters. And so a simplified way that I explain this is, if you worked 10 years full time, you're going to have enough credits. If you didn't work, those 10 years don't have to be in a row or don't have to be consecutive. So you have to have 40 credits in order to qualify to receive a Social Security benefit. And the reason why I call it a benefit is because that's truly the language that is written. It is a benefit to you. So when we think about Social Security, we all put our money into the Social Security Trust Fund. It all goes into this big bucket, and then we can apply to receive our benefit to start receiving income from the Social Security Trust Fund that everybody's been paying into. The other way that you can qualify for a benefit is through your spouse. So if we're thinking through, what does that look like for me? When should I claim? Let's really start thinking about timing. We have to first start with a term called your full retirement age. It's also called your FRA. If you take nothing else from this presentation, I need you to understand your full retirement age matters. It is a driving decision maker on when you or how you can optimize your Social Security benefit. Okay. So on the screen here, you can see that based on your birth year, your full retirement age is, for a lot of you, for a lot of the baby boomers who are getting ready to retire or recently retired, theirs was anywhere between 66 and like 8 months, or 66 and 10 months. And yes, those months do matter. So your full retirement age, all that means for you is that is when their government or the Social Security office recognizes you as you can receive your full benefit that you're entitled to based on your work history. Now, as you know, you can take your full retire or your benefit, your Social Security benefit at age starting as early as age 62, or you can wait until age 70. Your full retirement age allows you to receive your full benefit based on your work history, and it does not matter if you're still working. So the taxes and the tax laws change based on your full retirement age versus if you decided to take it early. So let's break that down. If you were to take your benefit at age 62, you technically are taking your benefit early, which you can do. But if you are still working and you choose to take your benefit, the IRS and the Social Security Administration say, hey, we've written rules into place to say you're going to be taxed on this differently. Okay. If you take and you wait until your full retirement age, so let's say for somebody who was born in 1958, that would be at age 66 and 8 months. So in age 66 and the 9th month is when we would tell you to apply for benefits if you really wanted to maximize your full retirement age, especially if you're still going to continue to work. And then you have the option to wait and take a delayed benefit, which means they kind of give you some bonus money for, for waiting. That's what I call it. It's not a technical term, but I call it, you get a bonus. You get rewarded for waiting to take your benefit, and you can take it at age 70. Fun fact, if you choose to wait until age 72, you're not rewarded. It is that magic number of age 70 that you are rewarded. So you can wait till age 72, but you're not going to get any more benefit out of the system or out of the trust fund by waiting past age 70. Okay. So should you take it early or should I wait till delayed? Oftentimes depends on your personal situation, what you have going on. But to kind of map this out for you, should I take it early? Should I wait? Let's assume for simple math, because I like to keep it simple, we have somebody who's going to receive $1,000 of Social Security benefit at their full retirement age, FRA, right? Magic number. So if they waited until their full retirement age of 67, they would receive that full $1,000. If this person said, I want to take it at age 62, well, then their benefit's going to be reduced and they're going to receive a lower or lesser amount. And once we apply for our benefits and we decide we're taking it at 62, we're locking in that $700 for this person. So we're locking in $700 until I'm no longer living. Okay. Now, if I said, well, maybe I'll take it at age 64, then I would get $800 and I would be locking in that $800. Now, if I decided to wait until age 68, you can see on the screen here that increases my income by $80. If I waited until the magic number of age 70 and was rewarded that bonus, Mel's term, then I would receive an additional $240 in this example. So when does it make sense for you to retire? Well, the very first thing that you need to do in order to determine this is you need to go to ssa.gov and you would need to download your Social Security statement and first pinpoint, it'll say your full retirement benefit or your full retirement age, and it will list it out for you. So the first thing you would need to do is go to ssa.gov, create an account if you don't already have one, and download this statement. When you are meeting with your advisor or you're meeting with any advisor, we need to see your statement in order to help walk you through a lot of these questions. Okay. So the other question is, should I go ahead and take my benefit? Well, a lot of that depends on when you're working. So when you plan to stop working. So another fun fact that I want to share with you is when you stop working from your employer does not mean you have to at the same time turn on Social Security. That is an option. You physically have to apply for your Social Security benefits. And you can do that in person by going to your local Social Security office, or you can do it online. But a big factor is, when do I want to claim my benefit? And when you might want to claim your benefit, oftentimes we look at, when do you plan to stop working? So if you choose to stop working and turn on your benefit, that's one set of circumstance. And we're going to look at your full retirement age. So if I go back to my age 62 example, if I'm turning on my benefit at age 62, a question I'm going to ask you is, are you going to stop working? Because if you turn on your benefit at age 62, your benefit is reduced, right? And your benefit's going to be reduced if you're still working and receiving other income. Okay. If you turn on your benefit at your full retirement age and you're still working, then your income threshold, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So your benefit is reduced by $1 for every $3 above $56,520 of income earned. So really what I'm just trying to make sure you understand is, if you're still working, there's a threshold on how much you can actually have earned income from an employer. The other reason why this is important is if you are choosing to retire and you're claiming that benefit, a lot of times there's strategy around, okay, if you're actually going to retire, okay, in December, maybe we don't apply for your benefit until January. And there can be, tax reasons why we do that. It could be that we want to make sure we're not filing before our full retirement age, so we don't have to worry about this reduction in my benefit. Because if you are after your full retirement age, right? So if your full retirement age is that 66 and 8 months, then we're going to file at age 66 in the 9th month. I hope you're all tracking with me. So if we file and we still plan to work, then we just need to understand how much we're going to be earning, whether that's a part-time job at age 62 and we're filing for our benefit. Oftentimes people will say, well, why did you decide you're going to file at age 62 or 63? And the answer that we get a lot of times is because it's available to me and I want to make sure that I can claim my Social Security benefit. And there's not a lot of strategy behind it. And then they get their first tax bill, right? They go to file their tax return. They're still working. They claimed their benefit at age 62 or 63, and they don't realize, oh, well, I thought I was going to have more money than this, or I didn't realize that, my taxes on this, benefit that I have. So how will working impact your benefit? It all goes back to the full retirement age and these income thresholds. Okay. So, an example that I have for us is, let's say that you're working and you're working you're earning around 45,000. The annual limit, right, is $21,240. We went over that limit by a little over 23,000. Okay. So we definitely know we're going to be impacted. Our benefit is going to be reduced. So really, does it make sense to take the benefit early, or did we just mentally, like, we checked that box, we knew we wanted to take Social Security early, so we did it, but did we really get the benefit we thought we were getting? In this scenario, if we were to take it at age 62, depends, everyone's different, but in this scenario, I would say we thought we were going to get a bigger benefit than we did. Okay. Let's move on to taxes. So will my Social Security be taxed? And what I always like to tell people is most likely your benefit will be taxed. For most of our clients that we're meeting with, when they're deciding to file and claim their Social Security, yes, it is taxed on some level. Now, because our government and the Social Security office like to make this really complicated, how much will you be taxed specifically? I always defer to a tax preparer, right? Whoever is filing your taxes for you, whoever is preparing taxes, or maybe you've not had somebody file your taxes for you, you've always been a do-it-yourselfer, that's fine. But I highly encourage you to sit down with your tax preparer and say, okay, let's run the numbers and make sure we really understand how taxes look for me with my when I'm going to go claim my Social Security benefit. A lot of times these meetings can happen just as a one-off meeting that we sit down and say, I'm currently making this much at my job. I want to claim at this age, or I'm thinking about claiming at this age. We would need that statement, right? And we could then plug in the numbers and say, okay, if my benefit is going to be $2,000 a month and I want to claim at age, we would then know, is that before your full retirement age, after your full retirement age, what your current income is, maybe what your spouse's income is, and you can then fully understand what the reality of your benefit that you're receiving is and the reality of your taxable situation is. Okay. And then that way you can plan ahead. A key piece to understanding if you will be taxed if your Social Security income will be taxed is a term, modified adjusted gross income. Okay, so every time we receive income, that's our gross income. Okay, so for simple math, right, if I made $50,000, that's my gross income. Well, then we have these other factors that come into play, and it's your modified adjusted gross income. That's a mouthful. Your modified adjusted gross income is what is actually used in the calculation for figuring out how much you're actually going to be taxed. There is a term called combined income that is looked at. And so that is your modified adjusted gross income, not just your gross income. And then part of your Social Security benefits. And the reason why I say part of the Social Security benefits is because it depends on how much benefit you have. So on our next slide here, you can see the percentage of Social Security that is taxable. So in that bottom row there, if you are single, okay, if you're filing as a single individual and your benefit is $25,000 or less, okay, so that would be somebody who is receiving a Social Security benefit of $2,000, right, a month. So it's 2,400 or 24,000. Then you would be underneath that threshold and you would not have any true taxes on it. Okay, for that Social Security benefit. If you are married filing jointly, okay, so that's another key factor, is what's your status that you're filing. Okay, so if you're filing as an individual or if you're married filing jointly, then the threshold changes to 32,000 if you're truly not going to be taxed on your Social Security portion. And then you can see the scale here. So if you are somebody who, let's say in your Social Security benefit, you're making 40,000 from Social Security, whether that's 2,000 from your spouse, 2,000 from the other spouse, and that makes up the 4,000. So I know you're over the 40,000 mark. Yes, you are going to be 80%, 80% of your Social Security benefit is going to be taxed on some level. What I said might be confusing. It is okay if it's confusing. There is a reason why this is one of the most often questions that I get. This is where really understanding your benefit or having your statement, sitting down and understanding your current income, and sitting down with your advisor saying, okay, I'm really starting to think about retiring. And today, maybe you learned that just because I'm retiring from my employer and I'm stopping physically working doesn't mean I have to turn on my benefit. When does it make sense to turn on my benefit? That could be a great step one conversation. And then step two would be, let's make sure we understand the taxable situation, and we're sitting down with your tax preparer and we're running calculations. I do have a resource for you that if you're at this place, because somebody did send in a question ahead of time, if you're at the place where you want to understand your true taxable situation with your Social Security benefit, you're not sure if you fall into this, will 50% of my income from Social Security be taxed, or will 85% of it be taxed? If you Google irs.gov 1040 Social Security worksheet, it should take you to a PDF, and there is an entire worksheet that you can do. And I don't want to screw up sharing my screen, but I did have it for us. Let me see if I can successfully transfer this over to this page here. Okay, so what I did to get this 1040 worksheet is, again, I went to irs.gov. I just Googled irs.gov and then did 1040 worksheet. And then page 32 of this worksheet, we would actually take the time to fill out the Social Security benefits worksheet and understand what this means to you. If this makes you scratch your head or you feel like this is over your head, it is okay. This is where we would go to your tax professional and say, we would talk and have that conversation. That's how we help you as an advisor. But if you are somebody, again, who's a DIYer, or you're not ready for that step, but you're wanting a resource to help you, how do you actually figure out these calculations? Because there's 3 different tests and different sources that the tax return looks at. The IRS code references, the Social Security Administration Office references. That seems like a lot, but you want a solid resource. This is directly from irs.gov, and this is a worksheet that you can download and fill out, and there's instructions here. Okay, hope that is helpful. Okay, let's move on. Okay, what are ways that you can reduce your income? Well, a great way to reduce your income in retirement is to be saving into a Roth IRA right now, right? Because a Roth, you're saving money, you're paying the taxes today, we're putting it into the Roth, whether that's a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA, if you're eligible, or you're doing Roth conversions, that money is then growing tax-free, and we don't have to worry about we don't have to worry about it. It's great. It's a great tool. It's a great vehicle. So if you're able to save into your Roth 401k or into a Roth IRA, it is a great way to reduce your taxes in retirement. The other way is to just be really strategic about when you're claiming and having this conversation of, if you're planning to take your benefit before your full retirement age, that you're understanding when you plan and you have a solid plan of, I am going to file in this month, and you understand your income for that year. Okay. It's just a way to reduce the amount of money that you're going to be taxed. So what am I entitled to? So you are entitled to your Social Security benefit. If you have been married for 10 years or more, then you are entitled to a spousal benefit. If your spouse passes away and you are entitled to a survivor benefit, there is something also called a widow's benefit. It is a very tiny check that in FDR's administration days, when they created this, it felt or meant more, right? It was intended to help with funeral expenses. Today, that dollar amount is dismal. And so the widow benefit is, I think like a check for like $50 or $100. It's very, very tiny. So the spousal benefit is when you're asking about my spouse passed away, do I want to keep my own benefit or do I want to take on the benefit of my spouse who passed away? Okay. When we're talking about individuals who are married, who can claim benefits on each other, it's either on your own earnings record, like we talked about, or your spouse's earning record. If you are claiming a benefit on a spouse's record, right, their earnings record, then the maximum amount that you're going to receive is 50%. Okay. The spousal benefit cannot be applied for until the spouse whose earning record you're applying for, they have to claim their benefit, then you can claim. So an example that I have for you would be if you are 70 years old, like you've decided to wait until that magic number of age 70 to get the maximum benefit that you can get out of this Social Security trust fund that you've paid into, then so you yourself would apply, and then my spouse could then apply on my earnings record after I've applied. So how this looks in real life is we go into the Social Security office or we apply online for the spousal benefit, so spouse A, and then after that's been submitted, you can turn around and turn in an application for the spousal benefit. Okay. A question that we got prior to this webinar was, I'm ready to turn on my spousal benefit. I've been claiming my own benefit. I'm ready to turn on my spousal benefit. How do I do that? And the answer to that question is to go into the Social Security Administration office is honestly, I think, the easiest way. Yes, you can do it online, but if you're not super comfortable with all the lingo, and if you don't put certain things in the text, you could be messing with things, especially if you've already claimed your Medicare benefit. So my number one advice in that scenario would be go into your local office and tell them, I've been claiming my benefit. I want to switch to my spousal benefit. Now that will take time. Sometimes that can take a few months to get an appointment to have somebody actually help you with that. Or sometimes just the change can take, I've seen it take up to 60 to 90 days sometimes for that to go into an effect. So you can always apply like ahead of time. We have a 6-month ahead of time window that you can go ahead and do things in advance. And you would just say, I'm not turning this on, or I don't want any changes to happen until this date. And then they have your application in there and they have plenty of time to process it. So I hope that helps. If you, a situation that I had somebody be really frustrated that they didn't know what they didn't know, was somebody who claimed their benefit at age 65 at the same time that they were applying for Medicare. It was prior to that key term, full retirement age. And so their benefit was reduced. So I'm going to go back to this page just for visual for all of you. Okay, so they decided to apply at age 65. So in this scenario, they would have been receiving a reduced benefit of $866. The spousal benefit is also reduced based on when spouse A claims their benefit. If I was in a room, I would have heard, because that's always a big one. That's not often understood. So let's do an example of benefits at a full retirement age. Okay, so we have an individual benefit on the left-hand side here, and the right-hand side we have spousal benefits. So Angela, in this case, is entitled to, so her spouse would have waited till his full retirement age, and then his benefit would have been, in this example, is $2,800. So Angela can keep her own benefit, or she can get half of her spouse's benefit, which is $1,400. So which one do we think that Angela should do? I would go with the bigger paycheck. So that's what most people would say. So a couple of questions to ask yourself before you truly apply, right? Because again, it's not just going to turn on automatically. You have to apply for this benefit. Is some questions that I want you to ask yourself to maximize your Social Security benefit is when do you plan to stop working? Do I need this extra income? Will I have to pay taxes on my income? Really meaning, am I going to have to pay taxes on my Social Security benefit? Or if I take my benefit and I'm still working, how does it affect my income in general, like my taxes on the income from any income source that I'm taking? How does that affect me? And then how long, what's my family history like? How long do I plan to live for? There are some individuals who are in poor health and they feel very strongly that, they're just not going to live, a long life, and they want to take that benefit early. And so then we can have planning conversations around if that is their reality. Fast forward, we have individuals who, they're I just had a family celebrate their mom's 93rd birthday, right? And we're just now having Social Security conversations for them. So it's like, well, your mom lived to 93, and so that conversation is going to look differently. We also live in an age where modern medicine, technology, it's advancing. So have a realistic conversation about this. And again, that's why meeting with a financial advisor, your advisor can help you with this whole tax situation, because it's not just a Social Security question that you're looking at. Am I being taxed on Social Security? It's also a picture or a conversation for your overall lifetime tax. And when does it make sense? And that's where I really feel like as advisors, we bring a lot of value to this conversation. So next steps for you, if you are just now exploring Social Security and when you should take your benefit, like I said, the very first thing that we would need is to have that statement. And you get that statement by going to ssa.gov/my account, set up an account, download your statement. And next, what we would need from you is to know what is your monthly need of income. And this can be a loaded question. I get it. So two things that I would want from you is I would want you to have what do I need, right? For housing, insurance, all the major things, like what's my needs, and then how much do I want to spend? And a lot of times when we're having these conversations, there's your go-go years, right? So you're going to spend more earlier in retirement than maybe your later years. And so have a realistic, thoughtful conversation with you and your spouse, or just you or whoever it makes sense to walk through this with. What do I need? What do I want? What are the different ages? And come prepared with those numbers. And then the third thing is to meet with your financial advisor. First, we can have this conversation, start mapping out, doing what if scenarios, doing some real planning. And then we can also go to your tax professional to then say, okay, we're looking at scenario 1, scenario 2. Can you help us understand what my taxes really look like when I make option A or option B? So now I'm going to open it up to questions. Kimberly, if you can help me, I will clear my screen on this side so I can see. And we will start taking some questions.
Yeah, so at this time, sorry, everyone should have permission to unmute themselves. And yeah, you can use the raise hand feature if you'd like, or just jump in if there's a pause.
Melissa, I have a question.
Go ahead.
If I have a case where I'm a little older than my than my spouse, and probably going to take my full retirement and my Social Security at full retirement age of 67. She would be about 64 at the time, and has been lower earning, so she's going to be eligible for that spousal benefit. But my question is, if she takes it at 64, is she eligible for 50% of my Social Security if I take mine at 67 with the full retirement benefit?
So once you claim your benefit,
Yep.
she's able to claim half of your benefit. Now,
Okay.
Where I would go, if I were you, I would go into your local Social Security office and I would ask them the question, if we apply for mine first, what will her spousal benefit be at age 64? Because she hasn't reached her full retirement age, and if she has her own work history, I just would
Yep.
not want them to get confused. So I would ask very specifically, what you just painted for me,
Yep.
but making sure that they acknowledge that she's not reached her full retirement age and that she's claiming off of your record, nothing
Right.
to do with hers. Because, and I would not try to do that online. I would go into the office.
Okay. Yeah, I know I could do that. I didn't know if you had an answer for that, so that's fine.
Yeah, she's entitled to half of your benefit, but you have to claim first.
Right, but at 3 years before her retirement age, is she eligible for half, or is it half and then reduced by the 3 years that she's taking it?
In technically, she's eligible for half of yours. I have seen some wonky things though, so that's why I would do the pre-research and go in and just make sure that that is what you would truly get. Just because I've seen some wonky things happen.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we had a hand raised, but then it went down. Looks like they might have jumped off the call. Oh, nope, here we go. Julie, go ahead.
A question, if you work till you're 70, are there any restrictions on how much you can earn outside of your Social Security?
No.
How about at full retirement age?
So if you work until full retirement age, are there any income restrictions?
Right. And
As long
so
as as long as you claim your benefit, I would do it a month after you've reached your full retirement age. So if your full retirement age is
66 and 10 months.
66 and 10 months,
Uh-huh.
then I would not apply for that benefit until at bare minimum 66 and 11 months. But depending on when your birth year falls in that tax year, you might even consider filing, like, let's say your birthday falls in November. I'd maybe even wait till January to actually start receiving that, because then you're in a new tax year and it might make a difference. That's where I'd go to the tax professional and say, does it make sense for her to go ahead and file in December, right? Or does it make sense for you to wait until January?
And then if it's full retirement age, there's no penalty for how much money you make.
Correct.
In addition,
your benefit is not reduced if you wait until to file after your full retirement age.
Okay.
And so the reason why I'm being particular in how I answer this question is because I did have somebody who, in your case, let's say 66 and 10 months, they filed at 66 and they applied to receive their benefit in that 10th month.
Yeah, that's silly.
Which then put them in that income threshold.
Right.
And they were really not happy.
Yeah, they shouldn't be, but yeah. Oh, got it.
But they just thought, oh, well, I'm eligible at this, so I'll go ahead and do that. And they didn't realize if they had just waited and put that 11th month, that income threshold would have gone away. So that's why I'm always That
And
person
you're
was so upset, and I don't want that to happen to anybody else.
Yeah, and you're just trying to really balance between how much you'd earn between your full Social Security and age 70, that much that you would earn for the rest of your life versus how long you would actually continue to work.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a couple of different people look at it different ways. I have some individuals that look at Social Security and think, oh, I want to look at my break even number, right? So if I go ahead and file at an earlier age, my break even number oftentimes is somewhere in like the late 70s, early 80s. And so based on their life expectancy, they go ahead and take their benefit early because of that break even conversation.
Right.
Versus, you know, do I want to wait till 67 or age 70 and maximize my benefit and lock in a higher number, right?
Mhm.
Because when you're waiting until age 67 to 70, all you're doing is locking in more money for the rest of your then living years. And
Right.
so
Okay.
then it's really sitting down with your advisor saying, well, do I want to go ahead and take some income out of one of my investment accounts? You know, do I plan to work part-time? If you plan to stop working, let's say at age 66, that doesn't mean you have to turn your benefit on. It's
Right,
just a
right.
matter of what makes sense for you.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Holly, it looks like you're next. And it looks like, Holly, you're still muted, so. Or maybe you don't have a mic. Oh. Okay, I think she took her hand down. Does anybody else have a question? Oh, no, Polly, go ahead. You should have the ability to unmute. Kimberly, do you know if it's like star something, if she's on her phone to do it?
That I'm not sure of. Holly, you can also send an email to info@infinitalkskc.com. I can send that to Mel and she can answer the question right on here.
So Dave, it looks like you're next. Dave, if you want to unmute yourself, you can go ahead and ask your question whenever you're ready. Okay. All right. Well, Dave, I'll stick around if you want to ask your question, or again, if you want to email info@infinitalkskc.com, I'd be happy to answer it for you. But with that, that is the end of our presentation. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Again, hopefully you wrote down some questions so that you can take back to your advisor and you guys can have a fruitful conversation around optimizing Social Security and what makes the most sense for you. If you felt that this was helpful, we are recording it and sharing is caring. So feel free to share it with somebody if Social Security comes up in the conversation. Any of the advisors here at InfiniTALKS would be happy to have a conversation with even somebody who's not an InfiniTALKS client. Would be happy to just get the conversation started, or we can forward them this recording. We also have upcoming events. We have events and webinars all the time here at InfiniTALKS. We are passionate about education, so make sure you are on the lookout for our emails and join the next InfiniTALKS. We hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm not seeing an email from Holly or Dave yet, although my email just pinged. No,
Okay.
that's neither of them. So Holly or Dave, if you're still listening, you still have a question, I'm happy to pass that email along to Melissa and she can try to answer it directly for you. Otherwise, I think we're probably good to go ahead and end the meeting unless anyone else has a question. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting and then, like I said, I'll forward you an email if I get one.
Okay, sounds great.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.